Yeah, we're waiting on one to get their vest straight. Got everybody? All right. Take a left and head down to the beginning. So usually we'll do this for a short while since everybody's at lunch, so we won't do it.
How do you move these things down the assembly line? I didn't see a rail or anything, so.
Well, from the majority of it, they're on casters until they get to the opposite side.
Can you just push them? Okay. Oh.
See the wheel.
This.
It does get really hot here in the summer. Yeah, it does, but not as bad as you think. Just way in the hell area. Actually keep the air frozen. Martha mentioned earlier, we make our own truss for our homes, and this is where it actually quote-unquote starts. Now I say that one reason we can build the house so quickly is it doesn't just start here, it starts here and several other different places. Because we are in a manufacturing type environment, we can build the walls, the floors, the roof, all at the same time. We're not waiting on one to be done so we can build it on top of the other. So what we do, again, we simply start here. This is our MyTech machine. This is what cuts rubber from the truss. Now what's done is the CAD program is made up, sent to this machine. All we'll do is take that lumber off the side and load it. And those various saw blades you see inside the gate there, cut it. One inch, 13.6 is 13.6 today, tomorrow. So again, that's a big advantage we have in our flexibility is building our own truss system. Now the trusses, after come out there, fall off up here to this bend. another good aspect of the modular manufacturing is we can use stuff like that, we do use stuff like that, repurpose blocking, or when we wrap the house with plastic for protection going down the street, things like that. You know, somebody wants to put certain things on the wall as far as towel holders, etc. You know, we try and repurpose as much as we can. So typically, if you look at a building site, building site, there's, you know, plenty of these that haul off scrap and trash. You know, ours is minimal. You know, you'll see down the line here, we've got ones like this of wire that we strip, recycle. So that's a common theme. It's more of a green building type than the typical site building. So you'll notice things like that. And I've been told from other people that have visited here and visited other facilities, they see that a lot more here compared to other manufacturers. That we're more organized, more clean than a lot of the other ones. So, you know, things like, it's the little details like that that make one, modular, you know, in my opinion, an advantage, and two, our way of doing it. With that being said, lumber, as it is cut there, auto, this, what we'll do is we'll lay a piece of lumber out according to the plan. I call it gang plates or nail plates that they put on to the lumber to attach each piece, and that little arm there, he stands on there and it mashes it down. So I don't know if you ever looked at it, but if you ever tried to tear one of these gang plates off, a piece of lumber, it's not happening. You have to cut that thing off. It's not what you want to do. So again, as that's being started, the floor is being started as well. As you notice here, and on some of the other workstations, pretty much everything we do is built on a table or a jig. So that every time we build a floor, every time we build a wall, flat, straight, through, and front. Again, the manufacturing scenarios seem to run the same way over and over and over, taking as much human error out of it as possible. Also, too, you'll notice this is what they're start putting into plumbing. Our quote-unquote standard plumbing is the PEX plumbing. So you see here, they start laying that out. A couple things to notice. As mentioned, we are lean towards custom. So you'll see different types of wood being used. Your regular wood, your treated wood, your LVL. And again, when we say standards, that is just so we can communicate where our starting point is. But the real question is, okay, what does your application call for? What do you want to have the house built to? You know, we talked about a little earlier, is the wind speed. You know, say you're in 140, 150, more and more people, because of, basically because of the media coverage of the storms so much lately, they're wanting, even if they're 140, 150, I want 160, I want 170, I want 180. People are asking for that. Builders are marketing that, you know, as their niche. So that's soon to become the norm and not the exception, going over and above your wind speed.
I mentioned no build them on the frame. This is apparently stronger than you would do if you were going to put on.
Yeah, typically when they build, when the mobile or other marketplaces build on the frame, that is literally part of the structure. These are, you know, you see, these are made to be on their own. The carrier or frame, however you want to call it, is strictly for transportation purposes. So this floor system that we use, and typically we'll start out at 2x10s on a 16-inch center. That is made to be self-sufficient, no frame, nothing underneath that whatsoever.
Question, is that PEX that you're using up there for the piping? Is there any option to get PVC if you wanted it?
We've looked at that. We haven't done it. It's one of those things I think if we looked at doing that, it'd probably be not very cost effective.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, it makes sense. It's a lot more work.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, things are, that's what we, you know, like Mark said, we look at something. If somebody says, hey, I want to do A, B, or C, okay, we'll look at it, see what the price is, you know, figure in the labor, and say, okay, does this make sense or not?
Yeah.
You know, weigh the cost benefit.
Right. X, PEX.
No, not really. This is the LVL lumber. This is basically an engineered type lumber that we use in different scenarios.
That stuff is flexible.
Be it long spans of open space. Again, it's basically, you have to figure out how big your span is and how much weight you have to carry. Another thing you'll see is on our PEX plumbing, a lot of times you'll see it in other scenarios, at this point, we're just laying over. Or it just comes out of a wall and just not very clean or residential looking. So what we do is obviously we thread it through any bracing that we can, so it's straight. We don't use any plastic fittings, all metal fittings. Now we don't use the Meta Block system, which is basically like a breaker box where all those feed into. What we do is we put it in each water station, individual water station, water station. This LVL. Yep.
Where do you put it?
It depends. We use them depending on how the a lot of times on the courses going up on here higher something we did. But as you see down the line here, a lot of it is used on top to have to stand or bring it so again, reiterate, so we'll walk over here, I'll show you what the thrust is. These are the down plates, gang plates that they use on that machine to secure the lumber together for the truss system. And like I said, if you want to change something on here, you cut it out, you don't remove this. This is like a tank. But just to show you, we build our own trusses, and we, like Marty said, we can go up to a 12 pitch roof. To do that, because our transportation restrictions, which are, we can only carry something down the road 16 foot wide by 16 foot high, which includes the carrier, which is about 30 inches. So to build those higher roof pitches, we have to have a folding roof system, so we stay under that 16 foot. So that's what we've done here. So that'll get us, typically we'll be at 15 foot 10 inches. Usually what we'll travel down the road at. And again, those measurements have to be from the outermost point to outermost point. I don't care if it's a nail, if it's a shingle, a piece of protective plastic. DOT will measure from outermost point to outermost point. Again, from the bottom, from the ground, whatever that highest point is. And as far as our restrictions here, we can build something up to usually about 72 foot long. So when you hear us say we modularize something, that's what we do. We look at a plan and say, okay, how do we need to divide this up into those boxes, those cubes? And that's, a lot of it is because of transportation restrictions. Okay? By here. So again, as I said, we're starting a truss system, we're starting the floor system, and over here, we're starting the wall system over here. Again, all at the same time. So, what they do is, again, they build the walls on a table so that every wall is straight, plumb, true. They'll build that wall, attach the sheetrock to it. Okay? And they'll put it in this rack right here. Okay? So what they do is they build a wall, attach the number to it. You see this will be serial number 440, panel number 29. So when that floor comes over, they look at the plan, look at their inventory walls, pick it, put it on the floor set. So like I said, typically to get to this point, you're looking at, weeks on site, and here a day or two.
What's the kind of turnaround time you guys see usually?
It'll be this one. I'm going to see. This is going to be a little over 14. What we do is, again, when we actually go to when we say a 16-foot wide box, we're taking into consideration, most of the time an 8-inch eave or so, and then, the exterior wall. So our floor spaces, the actual floor space, will usually be 15 or below, actual interior floor space. Here we do our standard, again, we need the 2x6 exterior walls, 2x4 interior walls. In some cases, if it's extremely high wind, or it might be a plumbing wall on the inside, it might be 2x6s. You see here, again, this is more wall tables here, where they can go ahead and you'll see, prepare the wall. Already put the insulation in it, put any sheathing that needs to be on it already installed. And you'll notice here, this is after they start securing walls, the strapping here. This is a very important aspect of the wind rating. Now people will say, or sometimes assume, okay, if I'm going from 140 to 180, that means they just put a whole bunch more lumber in. That's not necessarily the case. The higher wind ratings are done because and based upon uplift. How much pressure does it take to rip the roof off, or the house, if it gets underneath the house, to take the house off the foundation. So a majority of the higher wind ratings is because of the strapping. More strapping, thicker strapping, more attachment points. So that's what's going to, a big majority of the higher wind ratings is from the foundation to the house, from the floors to the walls, from the walls to the roof. And you'll see we've got some that are a few inches wide, 1/4 inch thick. I mean, just monsters, and they'll go, a third of the way up the walls. We recently did one for, I think it was British Virgin Islands, and those things were, I'd say, a good 3.5, 4 inches wide, 1/4 inch thick, and I mean nails every inch, and they were brutal. You're not the ones that want to check those into purchasing and carry those things around all day, I can tell you that.
You have to put any of those up at the top.
Yes, and you'll see that down here. That's going to be a big factor in it, is from the how often and how big the straps are from the roof to the walls. Absolutely. And you'll see here again, all of our PEX system, metal fittings, not plastic fittings. And this is another thing you'll see. If you look at our homes compared to Site Builder Brand X, you'll see a lot more wood, a lot more lumber on the inside of the homes. Now that's for a few different reasons. One, we're used to building high wind homes. That's what everybody here is used to doing. That's the go-to. I mean, even if it doesn't take that, pretty much how we're gonna overbuild the homes in general. too, because inherently the house needs to be stronger than a typical house because we're traveling 200, 400, 600 miles down the road. We're lifting them up 10, 30, 40 foot up in the air with a crane. So for those reasons, we have to build them stronger. We have to overbuild them compared to, you know, X, Y, and Z. You'll see here, this is going to be our area where we start preparing HVAC system. Okay, we can, in most cases, put a majority of the HVAC system in the home. You see here, they're working on the ductwork already. You see some of the units down next to it here. And we'll install the air handler already in the home, and the actual condenser is shipped loose. That once it gets on site, that's set. But a majority of the ductwork is either already in and installed in the home or made up and shipped loose with the home. And I'll show you how we have to do that. Here's a good example of a roof system that's folded down. Okay, so what they do is they'll lay down either the sheetrock or the plywood, if it's the ceiling area, on this table, and then put the trusses over top of it. You see a lot of other places that will have the truss system already built and they're working from underneath, putting it up there, screwing it in. We do it this way because we know that that table is going to be flat. That just in case there may be, say there's a ripple here in the wood, okay? Well, if you're working with the sheetrock and you're screwing that to that piece of wood, it's going to take that shape. Here, we don't screw the sheetrock in the ceiling to the wood. We glue it. Okay? You see that hose right there? We'll move it. It'll walk up each bay and spray it. That thing, it does two things. It's a glue, and also it's a sealant. So what we do is we rely on that so that if there is a little void, that glue/sealant will fill that and the actual sheetrock will still be flat. Plus, any penetration that is made in that sheetrock or that plywood for your HVAC system, we seal that too. So, again, that's one thing you'll see a lot of times different in other situations. They're building, they have the truss and everything sitting up on top of them, and they're screwed to that, and then it takes another half day because they're taking the mudding and trying to make up for imperfections. But you'll see here, this piece right here, okay, this is going to flip up right here, okay? So that's where your HVAC ductwork will be. So since we fold it down, we can't always, put everything in there. But what we'll have, it will have the boots, registers, everything already done and installed. You see here, like we mentioned, LVL previously, typically is an over a break room or something, carry that below the process thing. What that does is this piece right here kind of kick out like a kickstand and lean, set right on top of this, and this will flip up and secure that.
Something that's hanging from the yellow or whatever. Weird wire.
you'll see here, we're going to start decking the roof. From the start, we'll start using OSB decking. We can option in plywood. We use zip wall. I mean, all different kinds. Like I said, it's just a matter of what each scenario calls for. What do they want?
Camera go. Yeah.
Here's one thing. You'll see we'll start seeing some of the electrical that's being run. One thing I'll point out too right here. You see any penetration that we have in the wall, kind of like I said over in the roof section. Any penetration they seal with that glue. Any penetration on the wall will be caulked as well. Be it electrical boxes, dryer boxes, things like that. So we have an extremely tight envelope, building envelope. So
How many houses do you have going there?
I would say probably we measure our production what we call floors, which is a section of a home. So some homes will be 1 floor, they might be 10 floors. So what we do is we're averaging, I think about 6 floors a week. So I'd say the average house is probably between 2 and 3 floors. Like I said, those smaller models that are 1 floor now.
What's the turnaround time?
From the time that we start cutting lumber down there till it's finished and outside, you see that someone wants to wrap it in plastic, averages between 15 and 20 working days.
Okay, that's not bad. So a month, give or take?
Not bad. Yeah.
Question, I see OSB over here. Is it possible to get plywood?
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay.
We can do plywood, we can do zip wall. See up top here, that's a good example of those straps that secure, like I said, that kickstand that comes out when the roof is flipped up.
It's your first time going to companies like this? A little different.
depending on the hard value.
The advantage of doing them like they're going to this is what they do all the time and they get good at it. But you've done.
And this is another thing. This area has to be sealed because it just all runoff in these spots.
Oh yeah, it's right out.
I saw dry rot all the time when I tried to change out the window. That's cool.
But this is the standard. I mean, how do you?
We have a design president.
Yeah.
non-impact, it's going to be cost is going to be up there if it's mine as well. Go ahead and get that in. By the time you put the shutters on, you have the plywood and everything ready and it cuts in, you'll be there anyway.
But basically, you say you have a best price for it, and then you want
All the cartridges start checking boxes. If they want to write a check for it, where two modules come together. On our marriage wall, you'll see we'll have OSB and the sheetrock to give that extra rigidity. Again, that'll be on both sides. Each module will have that. Again, any penetration of the wall is going to be caulked. Be it the walls, the marriage wall, side wall, just like we do on the ceiling with the HVAC system. Here you start seeing some of our interior finishes. Our standard from the get-go is going to be smooth walls and smooth ceilings, 8-foot sidewall or 8-foot ceilings. We very commonly go to 9, starting to get more 10-foots by request. I'm sorry?
That's a 9, isn't it?
No, that's, yeah, I think that's probably 9.
Because the wall 7, the doorway 7.
The electrical that you guys have in here, how many amps is this rated for?
It's going to start at 200.
Okay.
Depending upon if they put in one big or a couple small tanks of water heaters,
Yeah.
things like that.
Is that not in here, the tankless heater?
We do gas or electric.
Okay.
And sometimes we put a small button.
Oh yeah, this one's drawing the same amount of power.
don't have a standard, we start out without floor covering, and they opt in whatever they want to have. That being said, one reason is you got to figure we're going to have another section of the house right here. We typically start at the vinyl foot. So if we start out over here and run into here, we've got to figure out, okay, there's going to be maybe a 4 or 5 inch gap between modules. Now some people will have us run flooring out the door, and then we'll bevel a piece smaller to fill in that gap. Some people will just do the flooring completely on site. Some of them will have us do one section of the home, stop, chip the rest of it loose so they can pick up from there and finish it off. So it'll be a smaller piece, 5 inches versus anything else in 7. As mentioned, our cabinets start out with very lap cabinets. We've got different levels from there. And if somebody wanted to get extremely custom, unfortunately we have a local custom cabinet maker who builds cabinets all over the United States. He'll do literally a one-off custom cabinet, kitchen system, bathroom, whatever it may be. I mean, they're gorgeous. I mean, those are extremely custom. I've seen people put, $40,000, $50,000 cabinets in the kitchen. That's you will build whatever you want. And it's kind of funny on the situations, but they'll put that much money into a small house and then do vinyl siding, things like that. But it's a case where they're down the keys and along the beach. They want what they want inside, outside as low maintenance as possible. They don't want to paint, they don't want to do anything. So
As long as it's strong enough for the wind.
exactly. They're writing a check, so I can't say it.
You ever did I might have missed it. You ever get a call for doing any crown molding?
We do. Crown molding is getting less and less popular these days. But crown molding is we have yeah, popular going now with the square.
Yeah.
Everything's square.
Yeah.
Crown molding, window casings, door casings. That's I'd say that's the vast majority.
Okay.
Vast. And you'll see here, this house right here. If you visit our website, this is what the house that's on our landing page called the Sawgrass, the one that sits right there, right when you click on it.
Are metal roofs an option?
They can be.
Okay.
All right. What we can do is we can install a metal roof on a fixed roof, which typically means it's a 312 or below.
Okay.
On a multi-section house.
Yeah.
If it's higher than that, we'll have that hinge roof system.
Yeah.
What we'll do is we'll basically what we call prep it. We'll put plywood up top instead of OSB.
Okay.
Peel and stick instead of the regular roofing felt. There's different cases, like on the tiny homes, smaller homes, which you'll see right there's one. Since they're just a single section, we can go to a 512 roof on it and still be fixed.
Okay, so it's just a lean-to kind of thing? Or does it actually... That one right there, or are you talking about the one here?
The one right there.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay. Oh, and metal roof. I thought that was part of the factory.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Okay.
It's very common security. Yeah, very common. Yeah. And they're going to be pretty much everything could be 200 amp, unless we install an additional, for if somebody's might have us do that for ancillary things that are showing up on pilots, like put a bunch of lights down below it for a shop or a garage or stuff. We'll put for X, Y, we'll put in the X 100 amp. That much surface space, right? Oh, okay.